You won't know the amount of waste that is in this country. This alone,
Yeah.
if properly utilized,
Yeah.
can help the entire logistics system. All the transportation for farm products
Yeah.
used to go through this facility. You could see, as a young man, this staircase was built by colonial master. All these things you see
Yeah.
was built by colonial masters. But since they left, and that is why at times I question the essence of independence.
Yeah.
Because the black man has not contributed anything
Because if this...
except wickedness.
Peter be speaking with Why Not Africa in Onitsha. He questioned the culture of waste and lack of maintenance by Nigerian leaders. He wondered why everything the colonial masters built in Nigeria, every infrastructure, were abandoned by Nigerian leaders. He's right. Nowadays, Nigerians are actually getting a bad deal from Nigerian leaders compared to before independence. In many cases, their fellow brothers, Nigerians that are leading them, actually treat them worse, or in the same case, the same way colonial masters treated Nigerians at the time. In terms of infrastructure, colonial masters tried to build basic infrastructure that served their needs at the time. They built railway lines like the Eastern Railway Line, otherwise called the Port Harcourt-Maiduguri Railway Line. They used this line to export raw materials like coal and the likes to Europe. Throughout their stay in Nigeria, this line kept working until they handed over power to Nigerians in 1960. Then, all of a sudden, the railway line started having problems. At a time, it didn't run for many decades, until during Goodluck Jonathan's administration, they started working on it. But up till today, the railway line is still not in service. They just commissioned Port Harcourt to Aba section of the railway line, which is like less than 5% or even 2% of the entire stretch of the railway line. So this applies to nearly every sector in Nigeria. Nigerian leaders ran down all the infrastructure they inherited from the colonial masters, even the ones they built themselves, like the refineries which were built in the 70s. They ran down everything to the extent that they have spent $20 billion in the past 20 years to repair these refineries and put them in order. But up till today, they have never produced any single drop of petrol.
That's when I'm going to believe, when the marketers confirm that they've actually started and that trucks have started coming out with products. That's the only time I'm going to believe them. Because, you know, if you look at the fact that over the last 20 years, about 12 trillion naira has gone down the drain in turnaround maintenance, and there's nothing to show for it. And you look at the exchange rate at which that 12 trillion naira was expended, is nearly equivalent to $20 billion, which is the same thing that Dangote used in building one of the largest refineries in the world.
As you can see, they are running Nigeria like a criminal enterprise. Take for instance, if this happened in a small company where the MD of a manufacturing company spends as little as $100,000 to fix their manufacturing line, and at the end of the day, this manufacturing line is still not working, they are not able to use it to manufacture or produce anything. That MD must be sacked. In many cases, they will take him to court to make sure he refunds that $100,000. Compare $100,000 to $20 billion. Is it because it is government money? No one has ever been taken to court or jailed, neither the MD of NNPC nor any contractor that conducted a turnaround maintenance in any of our refineries. The fraud goes on and on. Are we going to talk about Ajoguta Steel, where the Nigerian government spent more than $5 billion? At the end of the day, they couldn't just complete the payment to the Russians. They left it uncommissioned, and up to today, Ajoguta Steel lies fallow. So there are a lot of wastages going on. If they are not spending money on a non-existent infrastructure that will never work from day one, they set it up not to ever work. They just waste the billions or millions of dollars on the project. At the end of the day, they will abandon it. If they are not doing that, they are wasting the money on personnel, on themselves. Nigerian politicians know how to spend extravagantly on themselves. In some state government houses across Nigeria, they budget for 1 cow per day for the government lodge. While in the United States, for instance, the state doesn't pay for the personal expenditure of the president. The president takes care of his meals, he pays for them. After he is served, including all his guests, he is given the bill and he must pay it. Unlike what is obtainable in Nigeria, from the local government chairman to the president, everyone is spending from the state. They take all manner of meals, they take all manner of drinks, none comes from their pocket. Just like someone working for a private business or a bank, for instance, the bank pays you your salary. Don't expect them to pay for your meals when you come to work or pay for your expenditure when you are not conducting business for the bank. Imagine expecting the bank to pay for your movement on Saturdays when you are not working, but that is exactly what is obtainable in Nigeria. The Nigerian state pays for the personal expenditure of political office holders, even when they are not conducting affairs of the state. Yes, that's why Remi Tinubu can travel on a presidential jet to any country she wants, despite not having a constitutional role or conducting government business. In an ideal situation without all the wastages in government, the revenue they are earning right now can still be used to develop this country gradually till everything grows to the next level. When you look at some European countries, most of them didn't develop from money they made from mining natural resources. Unlike in Nigeria, where most of the money comes from mining of natural resources, Nigerian government earns royalties from companies that are mining crude in Nigeria. So it can be done in Nigeria. Nigeria doesn't have a revenue problem. We have a spending problem. All the revenue they are generating right now, if they are judiciously managed and invested in the right sectors that will boost the economy, things will get better. But the politicians are always looking for more money. They keep talking about IGR, but they can never account for the ones they are earning right now. They can't give a good account and say, we spend this, we spend that there. All they do is demand more, continue demanding. To whom much is given, much is expected. If you give two people 5 million naira as startup to run a business, and after 5 years, you come back to them, one is making profit, he has successfully increased his capital, while the second person didn't make any profit, in fact, he's been running at a loss. Who do you blame? If one could make it, since both of them are operating in the same environment, that means the one that made a loss couldn't manage his resources better. In an ideal world, the government shouldn't be running at a loss. They shouldn't be running on deficit. They shouldn't be borrowing. They should be able to budget according to their earnings and stick to it to make sure that they do not run a deficit. But that's not the case in Nigeria. They will borrow into our future, into the future of the coming generation. Some of the loans they are taking today have a moratorium of 10 years. They will start repaying some of them from 2035 upwards. So you can understand, people that are here right now don't know how far they have mortgaged their future. Some of the loans will be repaid by the coming generation. People that are 15 years today, they will be in their 20s when they will start repaying these loans. Most Nigerian politicians see political offices as a way of improving their lives, not improving the situation. Normally, what should motivate someone to go into politics and seek for leadership is to improve the situation, is to make life better, is to develop the country or the state better than it is. All these are things that should motivate someone, but that's not the case in Nigeria. What motivates them is corruption. How do I get this? How do I be in charge of disbursing the money, of disbursing billions of naira? Not just at the federal level. Look at all the states, especially all the oil states that make humongous amount of money. They have nothing to show for it. These states, especially the Niger Delta states, most of them shouldn't have a single untarred road in most of their cities or other suburbs. But it's not the case. They spend so much money on frivolities, things that don't matter. When you look at their recurrent expenditure, you'll be wondering, how many civil servants do they have? Or are they using all that money to service loans? Look at Delta State, for instance. The last time it was about 200 and something billion naira per year just on recurrent expenditure. So how much are they earning? How productive are they? Despite all the billions they've earned the past 20-something years on 13% derivative, they have practically nothing to show for it. Are we going to talk about Bayelsa State? Rivers State is even better. At least most surrounding environment in Port Harcourt, they look very decent. Even in some cases better than Lagos. Akwa Ibom also is doing fine, but they need to do better. The recent revelation by their governor that they want to build a high-rise building in Lagos State, this is simply a misplaced priority. If he doesn't know where to invest that money to improve the lives of Akwa Ibomites, he should seek advice from people that know. Akwa Ibom can benefit from tourism. They should look at the Dubai model. They have the shoreline. They do not have oil spills like is obtainable in Bayelsa, Rivers, and Delta State. The only way Nigerians can stop wastages by political office holders is to elect competent people to power. This brings us to how politicians get to power in the first place. INEC must be reformed because they are responsible for all this mess. Our entire electoral system must be reformed. If we don't do that, we'll be running around in circles. Thanks for watching.